Hola, mi amigos.
We've got our translator today. We're going bilingual.
Alright. Hey guys. Alright,
Bienvenidos.
Alright, come on.
Brothers of the Barbell.
Alright, here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of Brothers of the Barbell. Today I thought we'd discuss a little bit of some accessories that we use here at Brothers of the Barbell and Agro Powerlifting to help our athletes with their stability issues and to help them perform better under the squat by actually helping correct some of the strength deficits that they have unilaterally to help strengthen them bilaterally. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over a couple of movements. We're going to go over the Bulgarian split squat, the Cossack squat, which some may or may not be familiar with, and there are a couple variations of that movement. And we're also going to go over the single leg deadlift. Now, there are plenty of variations of that movement as well, but we're going to go over the ones that we do here and what we kind of look for when we're performing those movements. So we're going to have Kevin start off. We're going to start off with the Bulgarian split squat. You may have heard a couple other names of this, but that's what we call it here. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually line him up. We're going to square him off. What we like to look for here is we like to look for a little bit flat foot. We don't want to be rolled out too much, and we want to stay. I like to have that nice flat balance. All the toes really pressing into the bench. We're going to have the ankle right at the edge of the foot, or at the edge of the bench, and we're going to have the leg here. We're going to be a little wider than the shoulders. Not necessarily where you squat, but we don't want to be too narrow. We don't want to have too much angle on the femur from the hip to the femur to the knee. We don't want to be angled like this. We want to have a nice vertical angle or a little wider. Have a better base for balance, okay? So what we're going to keep that same torque into the hip. We're going to do that same screw home mechanism that we like to use when we squat and things like that to help generate some of that torque out of the hip. Okay, so what he's going to do, he's going to keep a nice tight torso, abs tight. He's going to go down, keeping the torso up and vertical, keeping that spine stacked, and he's going to drive up. What people tend to do is they tend to just drop. We're really trying to drive that knee back and into the ground, which actually stretches that quad out and gives you a nice stretch on one side while building the strength and stability on the other end. And we're going to bring him up. Good, go ahead and rest. We're going to have Kevin now grab the weight. Now, this is where people tend to go wrong. They'll do a really nice split squat whenever they're doing, not driving home. We're going to be doing, with the weight, it's a super light weight. We're not trying to overload the central nervous system or anything like that. What we're trying to do is we're actually trying to prime the central nervous system. So what we're doing is we're using this as a tool to get ready for the squats. So what he's going to do is he's going to keep the weight on the leg that's on the ground, not up on the bench. When you put the weight on the side of the leg that's up, what tends to happen is you tend to get a little unstable. And what's going to happen, you're going to use a lot of the muscles on the hip and in the quads to start helping to stabilize because of the lean. It's kind of, if you stand on one leg, you start to like kind of lean to one side. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to strengthen up like the external obliques and the stabilizers and the abdominals, and even kind of help those little small little muscles in the back, like the spinal erectors and stuff that are in there, like the rotatories and things like that. We're trying to really strengthen those up. So we're going to keep a nice light weight so we don't have any rotation, and he's going to do that same squat, driving the knee back. He's going to go down, driving that knee out to the edge of the foot and back up. Notice he kept his air, kept nice and tight, and he's going to go back down one more time. Good, and back up. Good, and relax. So you notice he was, it's hard to see from the side, but what we're trying to look for is we're trying to watch as a coach, you're trying to watch to make sure that as he goes down, he's not rotating his shoulder in, he's not coming around, he's staying nice and square as he goes down, okay? Same things you want to look for when they do a regular lunge. So that's basically the Bulgarian split squat. Try those. Again, try to lightweight. Don't do too much weight. You don't want to overcorrect. We want to make it nice and strong. That's the Bulgarian split squat that we use here at Brothers of the Barbell and Agro Powerlifting. Give it a try and let us know what you think. We're going to go into the next exercise. Check us out. All right, guys, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to slide into that landmine single leg deadlift. You can use this with dumbbells, but we here really like to use the landmine. The landmine's great. I think it adds a dynamic to the movements that you just don't get with the dumbbells, especially when you're trying to help with stabilization, because there is a little bit of help with the control. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over it without the weight first, without the barbell. So again, for coaching purposes, this is kind of a way you can help progress your athletes. Some things to watch for. So we're going to see if he can actually go ahead and lean forward. It's a hinge movement still. It's still a deadlift. Keep that shin vertical, kind of mimic your actual movement of your deadlift as much as you can. If your knees go forward and things like that, that's fine. But with this movement, we don't want to necessarily do that too much because we are trying to use the hamstring as a stabilization and more posterior chain involver. So we want to focus on that a little bit more. So what we're going to have Kevin do is we're going to have him go down and just kind of hinge to hip and allow that leg to go back. He's going to go ahead and move his left leg back as he hinges back on his right leg. There you go, good. And what we're looking for is him keeping a nice flat back and not rotating. So we don't want to have those shoulders. So if you watch, he'll do another one. What you want to watch for is watch this right shoulder lift up as he twists to the left. So this is a correction that we want to make. So you see how that's starting to lift? We want to make sure that we keep that nice balanced shoulder. So what we do is we have him just kind of try to point his right hand to his left foot. And what that does is that helps kind of overcorrect just to kind of get used to the fact that we're trying to keep the square shoulders. And as they strengthen up and get more comfortable with balance on one leg, that'll start to correct itself. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to correct habits that affect the squat, the deadlift, or any motion for that matter, and give us those like shearing type movements or anything that can start to cause injury on shoulders, knees, hips, spine, things like that. Next thing we're going to do is, you notice he didn't drive his leg completely back, he touched his toe. So that's the progression. If they can't come up and bring the leg completely up to the flat point where they make a nice airplane, then you're just going to have them touch the toe back as far as they can for a little bit of support so that they have some comfort whenever they lean back. And he's going to tap the toe. So if that's as far as they can go, that's as far as they can go. And then they come back up. And as they get stronger and they get more stable, they're going to be able to start to go down a little further. So now what we're going to do, we're going to have them do one and show you kind of what the whole thing looks like and what it should look like before they progress to weight. So go ahead and go back down for me. Good, nice and flat, legs up. Bring it up a little higher, and we want to find that nice flat plane as much as we can, okay? And then back down, make sure they bring and use them together. It's kind of like a pendulum, right? Torso and leg, up and back, up and back. So now we're going to jump to the landmine. We're going to jump to the barbell. He's going to go ahead and do a couple for us. Same type of progression, right? When he goes down, if he's not stable with the weight, he can also go ahead and touch that toe again. So just go down as far as the athlete can go, keeping that nice flat back and maintaining a nice tight inner abdominal pressure and square shoulders. Good, and back up. Good. Let's go ahead and go down. What we're going to do, you're going to see he kind of rounded a little bit and his leg didn't come up as much. So what we're going to do, we're going to focus on that by getting the shoulder blades to pinch. Same thing as the deadlift. You want to keep that arm that's got that weight back and engaged as close to the shin as possible over that center of mass of the shoe. And we're going to focus on him bringing his leg up more. So we're going to bring the leg first and keep the back flat. And what that does is by bringing the leg, it creates a pendulum. There you go, and back up. Good. So now, what you saw is with the weight, there's a little balance. So we're going to have Kevin keep his shoulder blades back, and we're going to have him reach to his right foot a little bit to square off the shoulders. And that's a good final correction for this athlete as he does this movement. So he brings the leg up, and you notice now we kept a nice square flat and back up. And there's your basically your landmine single leg deadlift for stability and some strength in that posterior chain, and it kind of helps with a little bit of rotational issue that people have in the squat. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to the next exercise. Check it out. Alright guys, next exercise, we're going to go into the Kozak squat. If you're not familiar with this exercise, it's a lateral movement squat. We like to use it here for a little bit of hip warm up, again like we said as a primer to get into the squats. I like this also for stabilization and again another anti-rotational type movement. So we're going to spread our feet wide. Find a comfortable stance that you can do this in. Don't be so wide that you have a little bit too much stretch and you can't get down just because of a little bit of tension in the hamstrings or the inner quads or anything like that, but also not so close that your knee is actually driving way over the toe. And what we don't want to see is we don't want to see any movement to the lateral foot where you're actually rolling and inverting the foot, okay? So Kevin's going to get into stance. Again, what you're going to do, set your toes up. If you squat with your feet like this, bring them in a little bit, but find that comfort zone and just kind of mimic your squat as much as possible. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to laterally lunge to the right. He's going to drive, keeping the chest square and up, and he's going to drive the hips down, and then he's going to come back up. So now this version, as you watch the feet, Kevin left his left foot anchored to the floor and went through. So you're going to feel a stretch kind of come through the inner quad in that adductor area. You're going to feel the stretch on that while you get that thing. Now the next one we're going to do is we like to use that a little bit. So we'll have Kevin come left on that same type of squat. So he's going to squat to the left now. You're going to watch the torso stay vertical and we're going to stay square. If you see any rotational type movements, again, you can kind of correct that as needed. Good. And we're going to come back up. So normally what we would do is we'd have him do a couple of those from side to side, kind of start to get used to the movement. Then we like to do is we like to actually externally rotate the leg on the opposite side and bring the toe to the sky. And what that does is that allows that hip to open, and that actually allows you to get a little bit of stretch in the hamstring, still kind of backside of the adductor area as well, but it allows those hips to drop a little bit more if there's a little bit of mobility issue as far as getting down into the bottom of that single leg squat. So now we're going to have Kevin do that toe up version. We're going to go to the right. He's going to immediately start rotating that leg so the toes go up to the sky, and we're going to bring that toe all the way up, and then he's going to bring it back and around, and he's going to come to the left now, same thing. We're going to watch for that rotation. We're going to bring him over. Good, and back. So a couple of things that Kevin has going on is he does have an issue with his hip. So what we can do to this is we can actually add this into as a distraction. So what we like to do here is we like to actually grab a band and we'll hook it onto the barbell. Now mind you, you can gooseneck this. You can gooseneck this any way you want. I like this way because it leaves a little more band to kind of work with. What we're going to do, we're going to wrap Kevin around on this. What we're going to do, if you want this to sit in the hip crease, if you don't know where your hip crease is, just kind of flex a little bit and hinge the hips and you'll see that hip crease. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have Kevin move forward a little bit and get a little tension so that you feel like it's pulling you back. And that way when you flex back and you hinge back on the squat, you don't lose tension on the band. The band should be pulling you back to help kind of pull those pelvis bones away from the femur, kind of give it a little bit of separation and help you kind of flex back and hinge down. So we're going to have Kevin get back in his stance again. Same thing, we're going to have Kevin go to the right and to the left. Now with this one, I like to use this with the toe up just to help with the movement a little bit. Good, and back up. So you notice Kevin's torso stayed a lot better vertical because he is helping with a little bit of distraction. And if they are still dropping forward a little bit, we're going to have Kevin on this one bring his hands up overhead almost as he comes to the bottom position. There you go, very nice. And you notice that really nice tall torso, and you notice he got good depth and he got that hip crease down below the knee. So this is a good version of single leg squat. This will help you with single leg squats as you're trying to get used to maybe doing pistols and things like that. But this will extremely help your strength as far as a bilateral squat for a back squat, front squat, or anything like that. So again, this is Adam and Kevin with Brothers of the Barbell. Check us out later. Peace.
Hi guys. Thanks for checking us out today at Brothers of the Barbell.
If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button below.
Share us with a friend.
Instagram, Facebook,
YouTube, email. If you have future recommendations for videos or content you want to see.
email us, and remember,
I already said that, Kevin.
Refuse mediocrity and stay strong. Nobody cares.
that was so good. We're doing it so good too. Yeah.